I'm going to take you along the journey of some self-massage, position, what I'm looking for, how to go about doing this. So when I'm doing self-massage on myself, I like to do something called go on an adventure from bony knob to bony knob. So I'm going to do the space in my hips. So first bony knob is if I look in my side of my hip, all of a sudden I can find, this is actually the top of my leg bone. I can find this little point right here. It's not that dissimilar from a ball. And there's a spot right there. So I'm going to go on an adventure from that bony knob, right that edge. And I'm going to travel up and across. And then I'm going to go, this is the front of my pelvis, my ASIS. I'm going to go on an adventure from that bony knob, traveling across to this bony knob. Massaging from bony knob to bony knob. So I'm going to lay on my side. I'm going to get the Eric Franklin ball. Side lying. And I'm going to start sort of in the spongy stuff in the side of my hip. And then I'm actually going to travel down. And I'm going to butt right up against that bony prominence. And I feel like getting a bit more relaxed using the most incredible pillow ever invented, the yoga block. Oh. And so I started generally in some spongy stuff, and then I traveled down, and then all of a sudden that ball is butting up against a more bony surface. Now we have a few options here. I can just lay and rest. I can follow the line of that bony, spongy stuff, which is going to go from my toes to the top of my head direction. I can strum that tissue by going forward and back. I kind of click across some stuff. Or I can take that bony prominence and I can draw a circle. I can go one way, I can go the other. And I can do all of those in some sort of different combination. I'm going to listen to what my body wants. Now I'm going to leave that surface and I'm going to start to venture upwards towards my pelvis from my leg bone through this spongy tissue towards the front of my pelvis. I got another block, and that's going to be a pillow for my knee, which is going to allow my body to rotate and turn. And then I'm traveling up towards my pelvis. What am I on? It doesn't really matter. I'm in spongy stuff. I'm in muscle, I'm in fascia, I'm in fluid, I'm on nerves. Now I'm doing the part where I'm just resting. When I'm resting, I'm feeling the weight of my pelvis. I'm allowing that to create a sense of ease in all of that spongy stuff. And I'm able to dig a little bit deeper through that area. Once it started to relax, then I'm going to go through moving, and this is like moving like half an inch from the top of my head down to my feet. That's the direction that I'm working this ball. I actually feel almost like a guitar string of stuff. So I'm actually going to strum it, which is going to be a side-to-side motion. And I'm going to click on and off and draw some circles. Circles always feel amazing into tissue. And now I'm going to go down towards my feet. And now I've traveled from this bony prominence, and I've traveled across and up to the front of my pelvis. I've had to change the position of my body. And I've made a little trip from my leg to another bony prominence in my pelvis. So that ball has actually traveled, my position has traveled, my strokes of pressure into that tissue have varied. If I found a spot that was quite painful, if it was sharp, I might come off of it, might travel around that spot. Now my pelvis has started to fall down towards the floor, and now I'm exploring. I went from my leg bone, I traveled up, and now I'm exploring another bony prominence. So I'm butting up against this bony prominence at the front of my pelvis. I'm going to draw some little circles around it. I'm going to pay attention to, am I traveling with the muscle, or am I going to plunk across the tissue, strumming that tissue? I'm going to be mindful of other things that my body is doing. I'm going to go into some breathing. I'm going to be mindful of weight. Can I let my pelvis become heavy? I'm going to be mindful of the comfort of the rest of my body. For example, look at this position of the shoulder. Maybe after some time, that's going to get uncomfortable. I might have to switch. I want to be comfortable. I want to be effective. I'm going to switch. I'm traveling around this bony prominence at the front. Now I'm going to switch to some faster circles into that tissue. Now I'm leaving that bony prominence at the front of my hip, and now I'm traveling back down to the bony prominence at the side of my leg. So I've gone on a little vacation, a little trip through the tissues of my body. And what I'm looking for is I'm traveling bony prominence to bony prominence, getting into spongy tissue, and I'm either traveling with it, strumming across it, resting into it, or drawing circles into that. All the while my mind is surfing through my body, creating comfort, creating comfortable breathing. Everything feels good. There's a holistic, therapeutic feeling in this ball rolling. All of a sudden, I went up, and now I'm back down, and now I'm butting up against the back of that bony prominence. It's my greater trochanter. And I'm exploring around that. I've gone from rolling my pelvis forward to rolling it back. Once I roll it back, I might need to spend some moments here of going back and feeling the weight of my pelvis, because the weight of my pelvis is actually doing a lot of the work. I can go into a few light inhales and exhales out my nose. Whoa. Bony prominence to bony prominence. I'm paying attention to the position of my body. The position of my body lets me effectively search through all of that spongy stuff and make this ball rolling as effective as possible. Now, I teach a lot of different ways to get from bony prominence to bony prominence. It's about the position that you're laying in, and it's about the direction that the tissue is traveling in. The one other thing that I didn't do in this particular explanation is I might go into moving to create an effect as well. I'm going to come off that. Feels like it's time. And I'm going to move to a new spot.